what's up guys? Welcome to another JuiceMotoParts tutorial. And today I want to talk to you guys about something that generally kind of goes under the radar, but it's worth definitely considering when you have a motorized bike, when you think about building a motorized bike. This is a safety issue, and it's something that you could definitely put some thought into, and it could help your motorbicycling experience go a lot more smoother, to say. So I want to talk to you guys a little bit about choosing brake, in particular brake pads. With my recommendation, most motorized bicycles, I think, are, if not all, the disc brakes that you want to opt for is disc brake calipers. Those are going to be your best bet in terms of safety, in terms of consistency, in terms of reliability. Point being, if you hit a bump or something, if your rim is slightly out of true, that's not going to affect your braking performance. In addition, if your rim gets wet, it's not going to affect anything. You have your own dedicated system where you'll be able to consistently brake whether muddy, dusty conditions. Disc brakes are great for that. So let's go into the finer details. When choosing your brakes, you have a choice between two different types of brake pads. Here is a Textro disc brake caliper. This is kind of what you find on your standard mountain bike, and here's the brake pads that come with it. This type of brake pad is known as a resin/organic brake pad, and this is another brake pad. This is from an Avid BB7 caliper, and this is a metallic brake pad. So there you have two different types of brake pad material. You have an organic resin brake pad, and you have a metallic and/or sintered. That's what they're known by, those kind of two things. Now I'm gonna get into the specifics of the sintered brake pad. I'll tell you the pros and cons, its applications, and choosing the right brake pad for you. So for starters, it's metallic. So automatically out of the box, you'll know that something metallic versus something organic, the metallic is always going to be tougher. So that's point one. These brake pads will last longer. They require probably less maintenance because you're not going to be changing them as often, and most importantly, they fade at higher temperatures. Now, what do I mean by fade? Anytime you're braking, whether it's going downhill on a motorized bike or whatever it is that you're doing, anytime you brake, there's a buildup of heat. Now, the heat has two places to go when it's on here. It can either go in the caliper, or it can either go in the rotor. That has two different implications, depending on what kind of application you have. With the metallic brake pads, they actually conduct heat through the caliper versus not the rotor. So what that means is, anytime you brake, the heat is conducted through this. Now, the implication to that is if you have hydraulic versus mechanical brakes. If you have hydraulic brakes, you definitely don't want to be heating up your caliper, because then that'll cause the brake fluid more likely to heat up. So there you have an issue. So if you have hydraulic brakes, maybe metallic is not your best bet. But if you're doing mechanical brakes, that really won't be much of a difference if your caliper heats up. In fact, it'll probably be great if you have metallic brakes on a mechanical disc brake. And this is actually the brake pads that I use for my own personal motorized bicycle. They last longer, and they perform better in wet conditions. But the con could be that sometimes they're a little louder. Metal on metal. If it gets wet, you get a lot of squealing, and there's a longer braking time. Braking time is the time required for the actual brake pad to get accustomed to the rotor. Since this is harder, you can imagine the braking time would be a little longer. Kind of a little common sense there. Now let's go into organic brake pads. Now, organic, they're also known as resin brake pads. They have their own set of pros and cons. I'll start with the fact that they're quieter, so you won't get the squealing that you normally get with metallic brake pads. Now, since they're softer material, you can imagine that they have shorter braking time, so they'll get better accustomed. Now, with being kind of a softer material requires they'll be more frequently prone to change. They'll wear down a lot faster. The great thing about the organic brake pads is they conduct heat away from your caliper and onto the rotor itself. That's could be good and that could be bad depending on your application. By conducting the heat into the rotor, that means that your rotor is actually more prone to build up heat and engage in this process called heat fading, which is when you're squeezing your brakes and it's not braking as hard because that rotor is getting too hot. So if you have maybe hydraulic brakes where you don't want the heat to go to your to build up in your calipers, and you have maybe oversized rotors like a 205 millimeter or 180 millimeter rotor, the large oversized ones, then maybe resin can be your resin brake pads would be your thing. If you're more of a lightweight rider and you don't need that kind of braking power, then resin is the way to go. If you're more of a heavyweight rider, then you definitely want to stick with heavyweight, and you're going to be doing a lot of braking, and you have mechanical. You want to go with the metallic brake pads. They last longer, more reliable, something to consider. So that's just giving you guys some tips and tricks on how to improve your motorbicycling experience. Again, if you guys have any comments or questions, feel free to post them, and we'll do our best to help you guys out. And if you need some more information, check us out at JuiceMotoParts.com, the high performance tips section. We'll also include an article on this very same issue and provide you with some more resources. So again, I want to thank you guys for your time, and as always, get juiced.